So we met at church at Shama. I remember walking in and she was doing the guest book.
One day, this handsome man walked into Shama, our young adults group. I was the only one standing there in the room at the time. And it was Tyler, and at the time I completely blanked out.
I saw you, I really thought you were pretty, I thought you were cute, and I was like, man, I'd like to get to know this girl.
It was like totally just like the room around his head was, sparkling, and time completely stood still. And I'm like, what is happening to me? I'd never experienced anything like that before. And I told my parents, I just said, I think I found the man I'm gonna marry. And they're like, whoa, what? Because I never, ever talked like that. I've never said anything like that before. That night, I prayed, and I laid it all out before God, and I said, I know this is different. This is something, I believe it's from you, but I want to be 100% sure. I'm not going to pursue this guy. I'm not going to do anything out of order. I just trust in you, Lord, and you're pretty much going to have to make it happen, because I don't want to do this wrong.
My first impression of Lauren, I remember looking at you and thinking like, well, if you're leading in a youth ministry, you're at church consistently, it made me feel like you had some standards and that you weren't just waiting for some good-looking guy to come through. It really kind of excited me, because I'm thinking like, okay, there's a lot more to this girl than some random person. You were planted in a very fruitful and rich church, and as somebody who I wanted to be with. I wanted to stay in a church like that.
My first impression of Tyler, I knew that something different was about him. I was so interested in him right away and wanted to really get to know what he was about, because I didn't want to enter a relationship with just anybody at all. God was really first place in my life and still is, and I wanted to be sure that you felt the same way, in order for us to have a really strong foundation of not only a great relationship, but a great marriage after. I remember the first few weeks, I was just really watching and observing you, and the way you were worshiping it just took my breath away, and I knew that you were real, and that you weren't just someone passing through, but you were really there for God.
We were messaging each other on Facebook, and I said, well, I'd love to go on a date with you.
I absolutely freaked out. I kind of had a suspicion that it was coming, but I was not sure, is this just somebody being really friendly?
I was praying, and I was talking with God about it, and I was thinking, I was like, where should I take her? And I just heard kind of Olive Garden. And I'm thinking like, man, I don't like Olive Garden. And
that was my favorate place, and you didn't know that.
I had no idea.
I have to be prepared if he asks me to be his girlfriend, in my usual over-prepared, overthinking way. And so I had written out all these notes of when he, dramatically asks me, will you be my girlfriend? I'll have this thing of, I'd really like to get to know you as friends a little more first, and, take this slow, but I'm really interested in you, and I'd love to, I had this speech practically, so I don't know what I was really thinking, how that was going to go down.
I don't know. So it's playing in my head of, I'm going to ask this girl out. And then you start in talking. Well,
so from my perspective, it's the end of the night. We're walking back to our cars, and my mind's panicked because he hasn't said anything. He hasn't asked me officially to be his girlfriend or whatever I was expecting you to do. And so as we're about ready to get into our cars, I say, well, here's the thing, Tyler. Tonight's been great. And I don't even remember how it came out, but I mentioned the word friends.
Growing up, how it was with buddies of mine, it was like, if you got friend zoned, you're done. There's no going back from it. So I heard the word friend, and my mind just shut off, and I'm like, dang. So I get in my car, and
he sped away in his car really abruptly, and I thought, is something wrong? Did I say something?
Yeah, and then you started texting me, and I was like, I get it, Lauren. It's fine if you don't want to be with me. I'm sure you'll find another godly man, and
Yeah, you were really nice about it. And
Yeah.
then I thought, oh my word, he thinks, I handled this completely wrong. So I got home
Yeah.
and my dad said, what did you say? I said, I don't know. He sped away in his car. I don't know what went wrong. And so I relayed the conversation. They're like, you got a message. You got this all wrong. So Tyler and I think, are perfect for each other. We are very different, yet we are very alike at the same time. I think that we're alike in our passions, and we're going the same direction in life. We've got the same goals, priorities, God first,
yeah.
each other second. But we're very different, and he's a go-getter and a risk-taker and,
Yeah.
a visionary all the way.
You're like the exact opposite.
And I'm like, risk, change?
Extreme opposite.
Yes.
Yeah. Because in my head, I'm taking risks to get gain, and you're totally the opposite, going steady. And I just think it's wonderful because I see all the fruit up to this point that's came from just being steady. It's really difficult to explain how much I love you, babe. Just being with you, I always feel just kind of at peace, just at ease. I could be going through the roughest day, and if I get to be on the phone with you or just sit next to you, even if we don't talk, it's just everything just kind of releases, and I just feel so at ease.
I love that you're so driven, and you don't look at circumstances, and you don't let circumstances stop you. You are so in love with the Lord, and you love Him more than me. And throughout the really difficult times of our courtship, through those 2 years of waiting and not really knowing when debts were going to get paid off and when we would ever be able to get married, because we knew early on.
We did.
And everyone knew, and it was more of a when game than an if game. And I remember you telling me, I can love you best by loving God most right now.